Question. How long did the Conestoga battle go on? Answer. That challenge was months. Question. So it wasn't that long. Answer. It might have been more than a few months, but certainly under a year. And the first women take over the night marches were lesbian run. They were downtown. I'm aware that there just aren't anymore. I hear about them on campus, but I'm like, we need to take back the campus. But nobody has organized anything downtown in forever. That's really where we challenged our energy. It was not evergreen, it was in town. So the marches were fists, F-I-S-T-S. Fists were the security. And Greg, our honorary lesbian, had walkie-talkies he showed us how to use. We didn't just go downtown. We went in and out of bars. Answer. That's really cool. Yeah. Taking the whole march out. Sometimes people would stand in the doorways and not let us in. Question. When do you think actions like that started to wane off? When less community organizing from evergreen queer people and community became obvious? Answer. That's a good question. I wish I could put my finger on it for you. It took me a long time. I started getting really involved in Central America solidarity stuff in the early 80s. But by the mid-80s, I was in deep. And I would show up at an occasional queer event, but I wasn't organizing them. Matrix had a run from the late 70s to the early 80s. Question, 1984. Answer, 84, okay. I was with it for the first 3 of those years. So there I am off doing Central America stuff, and it took me years and years to turn around and go, well, where did it go? Because I just assumed it was all just still going on, and it wasn't. Maybe it had to do with the time and space of carving out space, and once we carved out enough space for the time, maybe folks just didn't feel like we needed to do that anymore. Question, do you think the AIDS epidemic played into it at all? Answer, no. Question, was there much of an impact that you felt of AIDS on the community and the city? Answer. Some folks might say that's true. But keep in mind, AIDS early on was perceived as a gay man's thing. And a lot of us in the politicized lesbian community, dyke community, and I use those interchangeably a lot of us didn't perceive we had that much in common with gay men. And it had a lot to do with class stuff, and it had a lot to do about power dynamics and perceiving the visible male gay community as not interested in anything beyond themselves, except that of the honorary dykes like Don and Greg and some others. My perception is that most gay men that are visible to me, were just into their trip. And it didn't have anything to do with challenging themselves around class issues or race issues. Question. You couldn't feel a political side. Answer. Yeah. Or why don't they care about genocide in our country? Or it's like, liberation movements. I felt like I had less in common with them than I did with those who were politically oriented and not queer. So I know there are dykes in this town who totally worked on HIV and AIDS stuff from early on, but it's nothing I put myself into. I know that preventable diseases deserve full community support to make pharmaceuticals accessible, and how capitalism and the industry gets to rake in tons of money off ill and dying people. And they don't create generics. It's an evil system. Question. But nonetheless, it just wasn't your calling at that time.